Interior Worlds is a first-person liminal space horror game where you take pictures of strange phenomena whilst exploring lonely and empty places. The game is available on PC. Atmosphere. The game's atmosphere is the vast majority of the experience, with its eerie locations taking center stage as you walk through them. Abandoned subways, empty schools. These places aren't always run down, they're just quietly empty, unearthly in the way that they feel. It seems like you've snuck into them at night or when they're closed just to take pictures of the anomalies that float around them. The vibes of these places are all similar, even though they contrast heavily in design. Some are creepier than others, like the space underneath the forest path is much more unsettling than the shopping mall. And it is strange that the game doesn't get more intense and creepy as time goes on, but it's more of a roller coaster with ups and downs. Though the thing about liminal spaces is some speak to you and others don't. And there were some environments that spoke to me considerably less than others, but again it's down to taste. Most of the environments are spooky, some less so than others, but they still feel electrically charged and there's just enough activity to keep you thinking that you're not alone. That's one Harry Mason. Scares. Taking the photographs themselves is very spooky. It's unclear and unfocused enough to leave what appears in the pictures to seem ghostly, a shape, some sort of hand reaching up, or a gaseous apparition. I stopped nearly every time to check the photos because they were so strange, and there's a genuine sense of curiosity as to what appears in the pictures you take, staring at them trying to figure out what it is. Though they seem different with how many angles you can approach them from, you do start to see patterns forming in their design and the limitations appears eventually. There's also some videotapes you can find that don't seem to do anything other than show pixelated creepy videos before ending and leaving you creeped out or confused. Besides this, there's the small scripted events with black figures darting through areas or appearing just out of sight, knocking something over or disappearing into a hole in the wall. These are creepy little events, but they're not really scary. The game doesn't try to be scary either. It's mild at best. Something might startle you, but the game doesn't really go for jump scares. That's still one Harry Mason. Sound design. The game's music is a masterclass of understated ambient music, with various gushing wind-like sounds of overpowering drones that fill the air with the sound of loneliness, and it layers on incidental music in the way of hums and other things as you make progress or enter areas, music over music. The game's sound effects are all stock from websites, but they sound so unique that you'd never be able to tell. Many of them are straight up haunting, and the game is surrounded in this deep, dark reverb that causes every sound to feel spacious and involved. There's no real voice acting, and there were some minor problems with directional audio, but it's really not a problem in a game like this. That's 2 Harry Masons. Gore. There's a little blood in places to indicate an accident, but it's a bit of a push to call it gore, which works with the game's themes and finding things long after they've been left. That's 3 Harry Masons. Story. The game has no story to speak of. You pull over at a gas station and find a mysterious door. The door gifts you a camera and suddenly you leave to take pictures. There's some environmental storytelling in the way that you find crashed cars or broken down things, evidence that people were there but aren't anymore, and that's as deep as it goes. The game doesn't really require a story, but it would have been so much more interesting to have the locations feed into each other in a coherent way, through some kind of overarching story instead of a series of unrelated areas. Making the final score 3 out of 5 Harry Masons. The game is really just an atmospheric exploring game, and as long as you go into it with that expectation, it probably won't disappoint. I really enjoyed it and saved several of the pictures I took. There were some locked Easter egg doors that I didn't get to explore, but if it comes out with a sequel or something, I will be very interested. Again, I'd like to remind you the whole thing is down to my opinion in horror games, and if you don't share this opinion, then that's cool, I get it. I'd like to point out that whilst I developed the photos, I didn't follow the aliens and advise you don't either. There are more horror reviews in the pipeline, and thanks for watching. Always go check out Bumps in the Middle of the Night. Peace.